Hey everybody, it's Jason Blah here. Now that my obligatory informative videos are done for the day, it's time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. And I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I wasn't really going to cover this. I kind of made a little bit of a joke reference to it the other day in my Epic 225 strict press video. But one of my regular, very supportive subscribers, who is himself very, very strong, who comments regularly, said, hey, I really think that you should cover this. I know it's a smaller channel. But given the amount of work this guy put into this video, you should probably cover it. And I'm not going to cover all of it because this video itself is way too long and detailed to really cover. I just want to cover one little point, and it's a point that I think is important because it really didn't get covered as much, and it has to do with AlphaDestiny, aka Alexander Leonidas, aka Strap-on Destiny, aka Grimly the Dwarf, or the Dwarf Lord, and his fake lifts, and particularly his fake strict press. And here's the problem we have. He's got a lot of dogmatic followers who, as this guy noted in the video, who's himself a serious lifter, along with a lot of other coaches and serious lifters who kind of observe what Alex does, are saying, look, a lot of his info is really bad. He fakes some lifts. He's not as strong as you guys think he is, and it's generally only very inexperienced younger lifters who are following him. And he has a big audience of them, and because they bought into it, they tend to just attack blindly people who speak out against Alex, and they don't understand that they're actually having kind of a joke played on them by him, and that he's selling programs that really aren't that good. Again, a lot of coaches are looking at it saying this stuff's not that good. He does a lot of trickery. There's some smoke and mirrors with a lot of what he does. And it's not to say the guy hasn't built a good strength base or that he doesn't have maybe a physique that some of you guys want, but you need to understand he fakes lifts as feats of strength. He's faking lifts, and the strict press was absolutely one of them. Now, there's a lot to be said for some of the stuff he does using his height versus messing with deficit type pulls and things. That's a whole other topic. As far as the grip stuff, those are totally separate topics. This stuff I've kind of covered. But the one with the press, I think, bothers me the most because it is a more difficult feat of strength than a lot of the stuff that he's pulled off. And a 225 strict press is something I've reached personally, and a few other people who've watched it have reached it. And a lot of us are just going, that's really not cool that he's faking a lift that a lot of us worked so hard to do. And we look at his other ratios and say, hey, this is not, it's not cool. Because it takes away from a lot of our work and accomplishment when someone really does fake a lift like that. And he did fake it. It was absolutely faked. And this guy does a detailed analysis of why. And for people who are followers of his, no one's saying you can't be a fan of his. We're just saying, look, this guy, objectively speaking, as people who know what we're talking about, who are in the strength world, we know he faked this lift and we know he doesn't have that sort of pressing strength to do it. Now, some people will say, well, Jason, isn't his current bench a little better than yours, so what makes you think he couldn't do that? Because the difference is I've specifically trained much, much harder over the last couple of years on the press and the bench press, and I actually took over a year off completely from benching. And I'm having to rebuild back up, ramp back up, and I put a lot of time into that. Furthermore, I close grip. I close grip bench, and the close grip bench carries over better to the strict press. It does carry over better in my experience, and I'm actually quite a bit stronger than Alex on the close grip press. So you need to factor that in. He has the leverages. He's built to bench press. He is built to bench press because of his shorter stature, shorter arms. So a wide grip bench with a big arch, he's strong at it. His close grip is not proportionately strong, nor is his overhead press. So he's actually weaker on both of those than me. But, you know, I will concede that point. He actually can out flat bench me right now on a wide grip bench. I'm not going to deny that. It's one reason I'm working mine up. That's a weak link for me. But the lift that carries over more, the close grip bench, I'm actually measurably stronger than him. You guys have seen me close grip bench a lot more than he can. A lot more. So the points this guy made, if you watch his video, kind of from the point where I'm going to link it on, is that Alex has never actually demonstrated anything close to a 225 strict press. Now, he did it one time on camera, supposedly, with only half of the reps shown, and he claimed that his camera bugged out. Now, I called that immediately because, number one, I knew that he didn't ramp up anything. In any of his training previously to that, he never displayed anything that would be indicative of that strength level, right? We saw no training, no work sets, nothing that he ever did on any comparable lift that would say, hey, this guy can actually strict press 2 plates aside, right? We never saw anything that would suggest that. And then he supposedly does this one magic lift, and the footage gets ruined. And it happened to be ruined right at the point where he could have faked a push press. And this guy breaks down in detail, and I'm talking vivid detail, demonstrating different push presses and different lifters doing push presses and clipping their videos of notable YouTubers, a lot of other YouTubers out there who do push presses. He clipped their videos at exactly that point and shows you comparisons of showing that the point where he did it was a push press. And I'm telling you guys as someone who films every workout, all right, I literally have in excess of 1,000 pieces of training footage up right now. I have over 1,000 different work sets, possibly 2,000 work sets videoed and put up online. And I can tell you guys, files for your workouts don't get corrupted in that manner. You don't get part of the clip and it happens to be your successful lift and half of the file disappears. That's not how it works. Either the file is corrupted or it isn't. I have never experienced what he had happen, not even once. Where it gets really suspicious when you look at the thing is this guy points out his ramp up also did the same thing. In other words, when he went to a 205, for the warm up to ramp to the 225, the same thing happened to the file at that point, and he hid the bottom of the lift. It happened twice at the exact same point in the lift, twice in the same workout. That's not believable, particularly given that he never displayed that he was capable of doing it. And when you do film it, it does look like what he did when you actually compare it to people's heavy strict presses versus their push presses. From that point on in his footage, it looks more like a push press than a strict press. Furthermore, when you go to the strength levels, here's the problem. Whatever 6 or 8 weeks before, as the guy pointed out, he claimed he had a 205 strict press and he took his 205 up to a 225. The problem is the actual footage he put up of his 205 max was also a push press, and he didn't hide the push press successfully. Meaning, if you actually look at the frames and measure it, his head actually dips like 6 inches. So he did a 5 to 6 inch dip. That's a push press. It wasn't a strict press. So his 205 was a push press that he had as his baseline before that he was going to build up on. So he's never demonstrated over a 200-pound strict press ever on camera. So do you see why it's suspicious that someone does that? And then what this guy pointed out with other clips, he shows the guy his examples of later Alex attempting to do a 225 push press. Is someone who has supposedly done a 225 strict press under extremely questionable circumstances that it looks obviously fake to everyone who's looked at it, who is a serious lifter, who's really trained the press. We're all saying that was faked in a push press. All right, it's already questionable, so what does he do? He goes to do a push press later when his strength is supposedly slightly lighter, and he fails the push press with 225 three separate times. So he hasn't even been able to replicate it as a push press later. All right. Do you see the problem there? So you're taking a cheating version of the exercise that lets you lift more weight, and you can't complete it even later trying 3 different times. He's failed it 3 times to complete the lift even as a real push press, claiming it's a push press. Demonstrating it's a push press. He can't even push press 225 later after supposedly hitting the 225 strict press. All right, that's a problem. That's fakery. And, people could say, well, it's no big deal. He lied. Well, you know what? I've been called out for lying. Alex called me out for lying. And you know what? The thing that I have been accused of lying over 4 years ago. 4 years ago, I came out and admitted last year in 2 different videos that it was not true. And I later issued an apology video. I actually came clean about my lie, something I've been called out for lying on. Because it was silly trolling, but I mean, silly trolling, if it's an untruth, is a lie. That's a lie. I admitted it was a lie. I apologized for it, and I moved on. I apologized for it. Now, people don't necessarily have to accept that apology, but the point is, he has been lying for years to his audience about something, and it's not something that's a silly trolling thing. It's a legitimate display of strength. It's a legitimate display of strength that takes away the hard work of other people who really have achieved that lift. And he's using it and lying for marketing purposes to make money off of the lie. He's literally making money off the lie instead of coming clean about it. And when he's been debunked with stuff like this that's showing, hey, this is clearly a lie, here is really strong evidence showing it, that this is fakery. And it's pretty strong evidence. Like, this would stand in a court of law level evidence. If this was actually broken down in a court of law and he was being accused of lying about it, was a criminal offense, he would go to jail based upon this. He wouldn't have a good defense. Instead, he has never come clean about it. And he's actually claimed in the future later, hey, well, what about my 225 strict press, which he never actually did. And for those of us who have reached that lift, have done that lift, we busted our ass to get to it, to have this guy come and fake it as an obvious fake to fool his audience, it's just disrespectful to the rest of us who really have put in the real work on the strict press and have really busted our asses to get to that 2-plate-a-side strict press. All right, that's a benchmark lift. It's very hard to reach, and I've done it. I've done it on camera multiple times. I have hit that lift strictly over a dozen different times, and I can tell you guys that is a lot of work to get to that. It's hard. It's hard. And he didn't put in the work, and he's faking the lift, and it's just not cool. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.